Okay. You see one screen, two screens? What is it, Pranjal?
Mataji, one screen.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjala Salakya Chakshurunamitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. First of all, Dandavat Pranam to Namnishta Prabhuji. It is because he has given us the opportunity so that we can here sit across each other and discuss about this Bhagavad-Gita. And that is why we should always, before we start Bhagavad-Gita, we should always offer our obeisances to the Guru and take his blessings. So our obeisances to Namnishta Prabhuji as well. Shri Rupa Pranama. This is Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Then we have Sri Krishna Pranama. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopishe Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Then we have Namo Brahmanda Devaya Gau Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye. Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jai Ho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Welcome to ISKCON Mangaluru, Chapter 1, Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. Here, Chapter 1 is observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But before that, we'll talk about Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. I think most of you might be knowing what ISKCON is. The full form of ISKCON is? Anyone knows?
International Organization for Krishna
International
Consciousness.
Society for Krishna Consciousness.
Yes, actually, yes, Society for Krishna Consciousness. Okay, so the Bhagavad Gita that we are going to read is based on on his teachings, right? So Bhagavad Gita as it is original. There is no spices or masalas or any kind of herbs added to it. It is not any from any place. It is what Sri Krishna gave the sermon to Arjuna and how Arjuna understood and he practically used it in his life. We are also going to try and understand it in the same way. And that's why we should always know who the founder Acharya is, right? From where we are learning this is Srila Prabhupada. Anybody knows his original name?
Mataji, Abhay Charan.
Yes, correct. Very nice. Abhay Charan De. He was a born devotee of Krishna. He was blessed. He got a small idol from his parents, and his parents were also great devotees, bhakts. And he was such a great devotee that he asked his dad, if he could take out Jagannath Rath Yatra. And he was all alone when he had arrived in America in 1965. But he had that faith, he had that faith in Krishna and the determination to establish Krishna consciousness. That was there in him, in the West, to establish it in the West. And he wanted to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master. And so usually what, young men, women on New York, everybody joined him. They were not so much attracted to that Vedic culture as to the Swamiji and the chanting of Hare Krishna. So they started very small in front of a small storefront. He introduced the Hare Krishna movement to America. That's how it started as such. So this is a small Abhay Charan De. He was born in September, I guess, 1st September 1896. Yeah. He was as I told you before, he was a great devotee from his childhood, and his dad was also a great devotee of Radha Krishna. They would do aarti and they would offer bhog or the prasad to Krishna. They would offer bhog, and then it's destiny, it's a great fate of the kid if the parents are also great devotees. So he was also very lucky that way. His parents were into Krishna consciousness, and he had great faith towards God. He did Rath Yatra of Lord Jagannath when he was very small. He wanted to meet his guru once he grew up, and his guru, you can see his guru's name was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj had made 64 mutts during British time. The British rule was still going on, right? Around 10,000 disciples he had made. Many kings were also his devotees that time. And Srila Prabhupada ji, he went to meet him first in Calcutta in 1922. He had a friend. His friend's name was Narendra Malik, and he took him there. Srila Prabhupada, Abhay Charan, he was very quite popular among his friends. If he would go, if he would say that, yes, this Mahatma is good, means everybody will kind of follow him. But Abhay Charan, he wasn't interested. He said, there are so many gurus around here. But anyway, for his friend's sake, he went to meet him. So he was insistent, right? Because his friend wanted him to meet this guru. So he wanted to see that sadhu from Mayapur. So some of his friends had already met, and they found him quite, and they wanted to know Abhay's opinion. What is his opinion? Because everybody considered him kind of a leader, So they had, let's see what he has to say about this sadhu. Even though he was reluctant a little bit, but anyway, when his friend Naren Malik pressed him, he said, okay. Said, and as soon as he went and he paid his obeisances, he said he could see something in that guru. And as soon as he just sat down, Guru immediately said, you should preach Gita all over the world. Charanji was surprised. He said, we are fighting, we are having freedom struggle here. We need to get independence. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj said, Krishna's teaching is global and it is more important. But at that moment, little did he realize, how difficult the task that was given to him was. To preach Gita wasn't that easy. He didn't even realize that. That time he's running a printing press. So whatever little he would make, he would use to print. He used to print books and all. Then he kept on doing it till he reached like 55 years old, right? 30 years. Then he decided to take Vanapastra. He wanted to leave his family because all were grown-up kids. So he wanted to move on to promote the movement, and he came to Vrindavan, and he took sannyas over there. He took the renunciation. He started writing commentaries on Vaishnava scriptures and all. He used to live in that Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. Now everybody is going to Vrindavan Yatra. They can see that there. Many people came to him and they wanted to ask him, what kind of seva do you want? So in 1965, he said that, what, I want to preach all over the world. It's my guru's instruction, nirdesh. But I'm not able to do it. I don't know. I don't have any money. I don't have anything. One of the gentlemen, he approached him and he said, okay, I have my son in America. I will arrange for your visa. So somehow they got him 1 month visa and it was all arranged. The next problem was no money. So what to do there when there is no money? But his desire was very strong. He was a sannyasi, right? So once you take up sannyasi, where will you get the money from? So, but his desire was very strong. So he went to Mumbai. There he met a very rich lady. Her name was Sumati Morarji. So she used to have cargo ships then. Few days, I think, before his 69th birthday, he set out for sail. But before that, that lady wasn't allowing him to go. It's a cargo ship. What will you do? He sat on the steps, and it was a cargo ship. It wasn't a passenger ship. He was the only passenger on board that day. Jaladuta or something, that name was. He had just one suitcase, umbrella, and some little bit of cereal or something, and $7 worth of Indian currency, maybe around 7 into, you can say 77.49 rupees, maybe. Just wanted to click the picture. His mind was full of Krishna consciousness. He just wanted to spread Krishna consciousness. He said, just help me, please help me. He sat 6 hours outside on the stairs in front of her office because she wasn't allowing it. She said, you're so old, how can you go? Then after that, the assistant came and said, he's still sitting on the stairs. So she said, okay, fine, go. She gave him some warm clothes also. And do you know what? He got 2 heart attacks on the ship, 2 heart attacks. Still, he reached New York and he sat in the garden. He didn't have any place to go, right? And he was just chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Where can you find such an exalted devotee of Krishna? Where can you find? That is his determination. It is November 1977. He disappeared, like he left his devotees here alone. By that time, the ISKCON was firmly established. It had around like 108 temples and more than a lot of communities, more than 10,000 members. And it was quite well established. Huge movement. He had a huge movement. He would sleep only from right 10 to 12, you know. And then from 12 to 4 onwards, he would sit and write all these books. See the books that he had written, Back to Godhead and all this. Huge movement. The magazines were also started. He wrote all those books. And then you can see the timeline. This timeline I will play for you and you will see this. Kirtan went on to become a huge movement. See where all he went, which all countries he went.
Voice is not coming.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, your voice is not audible. Now it's audible. In between it will stop.
We cannot hear.
Excuse me,
You are
ma'am.
not
Your voice is not
audible, ma'am.
audible.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, the video, I think, voice is not audible. Like video, like we can.
Boys, I'm not speaking anything. I'm just
No.
showing the timeline.
Okay, in that there's no audio.
Audio is there.
No, that is not. No, we are not able to hear the audio of the video.
Oh, okay. Anyway, it's going to get over.
Okay, Mataji.
So this is our Radha Krishna Govinda temple. And it is located in Mangalore, Sri Sri Radha Govinda Temple, Coconut Garden Road, Tollgate, Kadri. This is our temple president, His Grace Namanishta Das Prabhuji. He is BTech from IIT Kanpur. And this is the website. In case you want to go on the website, you can go iskonmangaluru.com. Yeah. Okay. So we move on to what is the meaning of Bhagavad-Gita. This is what we are going to do today. Bhagavat is Bhagavan and Gita is song of Bhagavan, whatever Krishna told Arjuna. What is the use? Why do we have to read it? What is the use? You may ask so, right? It is the answer to all the problems. It is a spiritual dictionary and it is a book of inspiration. The moment we are going to go through it, slowly you will see each day, you will understand that it is going to deliver the mankind from the lack of knowledge or ignorance of this material existence. We are totally ignorant. It is going to tell us. The purpose is we need to move on from this material world, right? Every man is in difficulty, some way or the other, every man. So as Arjuna was also in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra, right? So Arjuna surrendered to Sri Krishna. And then this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So not only Arjuna, each one of us are full of anxiety. We have our problems. We have our difficulty because of this material existence, right? Our very own existence is so difficult. Actually, we are not, we are supposed to be eternal. We are supposed to be, our existence is eternal actually. But somehow or the other, you know, we are put into this state. So now what we have to do is, Bhagavad Gita is going to give solution to the root cause, for the root cause of all our problems. It is going to pull us out of the problems. We have to read it first and understand it. If we won't, then it's difficult. But we have to be very focused, surrender, and with all the love and devotion, we have to move on to this on this journey. For example, if you are getting this, what is this? It's like a kind of a video game, right? So when you buy a video game, or when you buy a fridge, refrigerator, or maybe a car, or whatever, electronics, anything that you buy, and do you know immediately how to use it? Anyone can reply. Do you know?
No, ma'am. Exactly
You
no.
will need
No,
something,
ma'am.
right? You will need a manual or something to read and try to see the instructions as to how to use, right? So
Yes.
if you are going to use that, then only you will know how to use it. Same way, Bhagavad Gita, every one of us has a book at home. It's lying on the shelf. It is full of dust and all. The book is there, but we don't know. It is also our life manual. We have to open it and see and read to be able to understand. Now, like yesterday itself, I had told you, before we go to any restaurant, we ask our friends, let's check online. What are the reviews of this restaurant, you know, or when before we want to go to watch a movie also, you'll ask, hey, what about the reviews? Is it good? Is it, or you want to watch a trailer? Or even if you want to shop on, say, Amazon, you will go and see, if I want this one, how many stars have they given? What is the review? What did the customers say? Similarly, before you read Bhagavad Gita, you need some reference, right? We have reference from many great people. One of the greatest person is Mahatma Gandhi, who said, those who meditate on Gita will derive fresh joy and new meaning from every day, right? And even Albert Einstein said that when I read Bhagavad Gita and reflect upon how God created this universe, everything also seems to be so superfluous. This is the references we are getting. Now we may ask, why ISKCON's Bhagavad Gita as it is? We have so many kinds of Bhagavad Gita in this market, right? So we can find out why. Why? Because, for example, if your phone gets damaged, if you charge it with a broken cable, right? It cannot be used. If the cable is broken, how can you use the phone? It cannot, it won't transfer the data, it won't transfer, it won't charge also. So same way, we need to have the knowledge from disciplic succession. Srila Prabhupada ji was 32nd in the disciplic succession. And the Gita's gyan or the knowledge should come from a parampara. It should not just come from wherever and from whoever's imagination, right? It is said in chapter 4 also, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashtaf parantapa. It has to come via parampara. We will learn in chapter 4. It's not something invented, This has come from Sri Krishna. And this, if the succession is pure, then the knowledge that is coming down will also be pure, right? And otherwise, what will happen? There will always be a chance of contamination, right? So this supreme science, Bhagavad-Gita is like science only. It was received through the chain of disciplic succession. And all the saintly kings also understood it. But what happened in the course of time, the succession was broken. And therefore, the science supposedly appeared to be lost. But the Bhagavad Gita, it's also known as Gita Upanishad. This Srila Prabhupada was once asked by an American lady, to recommend the English translation of Bhagavad Gita, because Americans don't know, right, how to read Hindi or Sanskrit or anything. They wanted to know which one. Of course, there were so many editions of Bhagavad Gita available in English. But he said, okay, as far as I have seen, not only in America, but also in India, none of them strictly are said to be authoritative. Why? Because in most of them, the commentators have expressed their own opinion. They have said what they think is correct without touching the spirit of Bhagavad Gita as it is. The spirit of Bhagavad Gita should be mentioned as what Krishna wants to tell, right? You want to take for example, you want to take a particular medicine. So you have to read on the label as to how to take it, right? You have to follow the directions on the label. You cannot just take any medicine on your own whims and fancies, right? Or on a direction of a friend that, okay, take like this, doesn't matter, take 2. You can't do that. You have to follow proper directions. So it must be taken. Similarly, Bhagavad Gita also should be taken or accepted as it is directed by the speaker. And now who is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita? Lord Krishna, right? So Lord Krishna is speaking. That is why it is very, very important that we do not read any Bhagavad Gita, but read from a disciplic succession, right? That is very important. So Gita is a vast book. We can't finish whole Gita, but in 18 days, we can focus on the flow of thoughts, right? Bhagavad Gita originally appears as an episode in Mahabharata. Many of you must have seen that epic Mahabharata, right? So Mahabharata tells of the events leading up to the present day of Kali, right? It was spoken some 5,000 years ago. Lord Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to his friend and devotee Arjuna, right? So since Krishna is the speaker of Gita, so its ultimate goal is Bhagavad Gita as it is, presents this great scripture in true terms, because Krishna is the one who is telling. Now, you can read Bhagavad Gita, when to read, you may ask, Mataji, when to read, what is the best time? Shall I retire and then read? No. As early as possible. My recommendation is as early as possible. When I was very small, I was a child, I would hear my dad reading Bhagavad Gita. So it is very ideal if you start from an early age, right? Krishna consciousness movement is like we want to serve human society by teaching people to perform devotional services, right? So in schools, colleges, like yesterday, one of the devotees was selling schools, colleges, they must introduce actually, it should be taught. The Bhagavad Gita should be there in one of the syllabus as such. That is a very nice way of starting and putting kids to practice in their lives and become strong in their devotional service, free from being degraded to animal life as such, right? So Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, you know, right? Who observes the army and all? It is on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That much we know. Now let's see. There are few incidents of Mahabharata. There were 5 Pandavas and there were 100 Kauravas, right? Pandavas were sons of Pandu, Kauravas were sons of Dhritarashtra, 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. There was a kingdom called Hastinapur. Actually, that should be shared by both of them. All of them should live happily there. But Duryodhana wanted the whole kingdom. And Dhritarashtra supported the mentality of his son. Now he was very greedy. And since childhood, you know how he poisoned Bhim and all that. You must have seen in the Mahabharata story. And how Kauravas troubled Pandavas from the beginning, and they had with so much of atrocities, and they troubled Draupadi also later on, right? So the topics here is like what Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya, his secretary or minister, you can say, and how Duryodhana is comparing the armies, both the armies. What are the signs? How do we come to know that Pandavas might be victorious from in chapter 1 itself? What is the confusion Arjuna is having in the first chapter? And why Arjuna says, Krishna, I don't want to fight. What are the reasons? So we need to find out. And Sanjay has been given a divine vision. Like, you know, we are his like a Zoom call. And like 3D specs, you know, as when we go to watch 3D movies, he puts 3D specs, we can see every direction, everything. So Sanjay has been given divine vision from his guru Vedvyas, and everybody is assembled in Kurukshetra, right? So let's see what is Arjuna's bewilderment and confusion. So here Arjuna's bewilderment, he is confused. If he was not confused, then Krishna need not speak much, right? Krishna had no necessity to speak Bhagavad-Gita to rescue him. So although Arjuna is apparently the first listener of Bhagavad-Gita, it is for the benefit of us, we human people, right? he informs Arjuna, it was that it was first spoken to sun god. It is not the first time I'm telling you. And then sun god had explained to Manu had told Ishwaku, and in that way it has come down as a disciplic succession, one speaker after the other, and it has been consequently Lord is again speaking. He's speaking again to Arjuna now on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He is telling him that this supreme secret I am telling you, Arjuna, because you are my devotee and my friend. So let's see what he has to say here. And Arjuna's indecisiveness. Arjuna actually was a great devotee of Krishna and associate of Krishna, so he was actually above all ignorance. But he had been put into ignorance on the battlefield of Kurukshetra for our sake, just so that he questions Lord Krishna about the problems of life. Because people like us, how will we find the answers? Where will we find the answers, right? So he could ask. He was put into this situation so that he can ask Lord Krishna about the problems of life, and so that the Lord could also explain for the benefit of future generations of human beings. And we can also chalk out the plan of life, how to behave, how to live our life. It is a life manual, right? As I told you before. So that is why he requested Krishna, please draw my chariot in between both the armies. I want to just see. So what was the reason? As a pure devotee, he did not want, he had no desire to fight with his own cousins and brothers, right? But he was forced to come onto this battlefield because Duryodhana was so stubborn, and he was not agreeable to any kind of peaceful negotiation. So he was very anxious to see who is leading the army, who has come on the battlefield. He wanted to see like who all are there on the battlefield. Here he drove in the middle. Arjuna is finding very difficult to fight. He surrendered to Krishna, and Bhagavad Gita was spoken in 45 minutes. Now, what is this Bhagavad Gita having? What kind of subject is Bhagavad Gita having? 5 themes. Ishwara, it will talk about God. It will talk about us, the living entity. The Bhagavad Gita is talking about material nature, the Maya. It is going to talk about the time, how time is important, and the karma that we do daily basis, right? These are the subjects that is going to be touched in Bhagavad Gita throughout 18 chapters. So we will come to know about all this and how the divisions of 700 verses have been made in Bhagavad-Gita. How many shlokas has been spoken by Lord Krishna? 574. Lord Krishna has been very kind to living entities. You know, he has been telling us so many shlokas. Like in 14th chapter also he said, right? Sarvayo nishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradav pita. I am the father. Sarvayo nishu kaunteya. I am the father of all. And here Arjuna has 84, Sanjaya has 41, and Dhritarashtra has 1. So this is how the verses have been divided. So we will begin into the journey of the Gita with Gita Mahatmya. That is very, very important before we start. It has been written by Sri Adi Shankaracharya. And he is glorified Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Gita Shastram idam punyam yaf pathet pretah puman Vishnupadam avapnoti bhayashoka Pranjal, can you translate, please?
Yes, Mataji. If one properly follows the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, one can be freed from all the miseries and anxieties of life. One will be freed from all fears in this life, and one's next life will be spiritual.
Gitadhyan shilasya pranayama parasya cha naiva santi papani purva janma kritani cha.
If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reactions of his past misdeeds will not act upon him.
It is very important, Gita Mahatmya, because when you go to school after term break or college break, or when you want to get a new admission, what do you see? You see the syllabus, you see the course, you want to know what is the objective. So what do we have to read? So here Adi Shankaracharya Maharaj also has given us the course syllabus, objective, importance of Gita Mahatmya. Gita doesn't become impure because an impure person has touched it. Every page on purport, you can write your name on the top, and at the end also write Srila Prabhupada, because it becomes a personal letter from Srila Prabhupada, right? We have to read the Bhagavad Gita with full enthusiasm. We do not worry, only study Hari. So Srila Prabhupada once asked his disciple, do you study? He says, yes. Do you study Bhagavad Gita? Yes. Do you study Bhagavad Gita? He said, yeah. I do you read? Yes, Guru, I read every day. Then Srila Prabhupada said that we read magazine, we read newspaper, but when your school books, you will study, because that is important. You have to study Bhagavad Gita, right? You have to read Bhagavad Gita, no, study Bhagavad Gita, because that is very important. Reading a newspaper and a magazine is different. We have to study Bhagavad Gita. That is why Mahatma is very important, Gita Mahatma, the importance of why we should read Gita. Maline mochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrit Gita-mritam snanam samsara malanashanam.
One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished.
Gita sugita kartavya kimanyau shastra vistaraihi yaswayam padmanabhasya mukhapad padmamada vinisrita.
Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present age, people are so absorbed in mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literatures. But this is not necessary. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice because it is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Bharata amrita sarvasvam Vishnu vaktradi vinissutam Gita gangodakam pitva punarjanmana vidyate.
One who drinks the water of the Ganges attains salvation, so what to speak of one who drinks the nectar of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is the essential nectar of the Mahabharata, and it is spoken by Lord Krishna himself, the original Vishnu.
सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दुग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सत्सुधीर् भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्.
This Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the Upanishads, is just like a cow, and Lord Krishna, who is famous as a crowded cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf, and learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarine milk of Bhagavad Gita.
एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा.
In this present day, people are very much eager to have one scripture, one God, one religion, and one occupation. Therefore, Ekam Sastram Devaki Putra Geetam. Let there be one scripture, only one common scripture for the whole world, Bhagavad Gita. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. Let there be one God for the whole world. Sri Krishna Eko Mantrasya Namani Yani. One and one hymn, one mantra, one prayer, the chanting of his name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Kar Karpayekam
कर्मापि एकं तस्य
karma,
देवस्य सेवा.
and let there be one work only, the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
It's very important, this one. So we should have one book, Bhagavad Gita, one chanting, Hare Krishna, everything just one scripture, one God, one religion, one occupation all over the world. Very important. So chapter 1 here, Arjun Vishada Yoga. We see here different reactions to the same scene. We have three people over here, three characters from the Mahabharata. So here, this one is Dhritarashtra, the blind king, on the top left. In the middle, we have our hero Arjuna, and down we have Duryodhan. So if this chapter has to be explained in one line, then you will get to see different expressions, feelings, and reactions of the characters. Like Dhritarashtra, he was a king. He could have stopped the war, but he was filled in tamasic mode of nature. He had a lot of attachment. But his brother, the minister Vidur, he had only affection, not attachment. So affection, you tend to give right advice, but if you have attachment, if you are in attachment mode, then you tend to become like little blind and mad, and you lose your sense of discretion. And Duryodhana, he is the son of Dhritarashtra. He is full of arrogance, and he is mode of Rajas and Tamas mode. And third one, our Arjun, is the Gita's hero. All three have shown their reaction on the battlefield in chapter 1. Chapter 1, you will see the reaction. So, Dhritarashtra Ovacha, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya.
Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
This word Dharma Kshetre, it's a place, it's a religious place, right, where religious rituals are performed. So it's very significant because on the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna was present on the side of Arjuna, we all know, right? And Dhritarashtra, he was father of Kauravas. He was very highly doubtful about the possibility of his son's ultimate victory. He was having a doubt. In his doubt, he inquired Sanjaya, what did they do? He was confident that both his sons and the sons of younger Pandu were assembled on the field of Kurukshetra for a determined engagement of war. But his inquiry is very important and significant because he didn't want any kind of compromise between both the cousins. He wanted to be sure that, of the fate of his sons on the battlefield. It was arranged on the battle, the whole battle was arranged to be fought on Kurukshetra. It is mentioned in other Vedas and as the place of worship. It's a very pious place, where even a lot of devatas also used to come over there. Dhritarashtra was in a way kind of fearful, that what about the influence of this holy place may cause on the outcome of the battle. He knew very well that, this would influence Arjuna and his brothers very favorable. Why? Because they were always towards dharma, right? They were of dharmic nature all the time, virtuous. And Sanjaya was a student of, disciple of Vyasa Muni. And therefore, because of mercy of Vyasa Muni, he was able to envision the battle of Kurukshetra, even while sitting in the small room of Dhritarashtra. Like I just told you, like 3D 3D glasses he was wearing. And both Pandavas and Kauravas, they belong to the same family, right? But Dhritarashtra mind is quite disclosed here. Herein, he deliberately claimed that his sons as Kurus, and he separated the sons of Pandu from the family heritage. We can understand what kind of relationship he had with his nephews, right? And as in there are weeds, right? In paddy field, if you see paddy field, there are weeds, unnecessary plants are there, right? If Krishna wanted, Krishna from the beginning, he could have removed those unwanted weeds from the place of Kurukshetra. If he wanted to, he could have wiped out completely, right? But he didn't. He said, Dharmakshetre, Kurukshetre, we are going to see how things unfold. And you can see here, Dharmakshetre, like here, the milk is being boiled. They are trying to have an analogy of milk being boiled on the gas. We do boil milk during auspicious occasions, when we have Griha Pravesh or something like that, we usually boil. So it is like auspicious. So they have shown it like Dharmakshetre. They have compared it to Dharmakshetre. Then we have, you know what paneer is, right? Paneer or cottage cheese, we say. So Mamaka Pandava. Now, what happens? How is paneer made? What do? You boil milk, you squeeze some lemon, right? And then the milk is curdled. It is separated into paneer and then the whey, or you call the water. So what is it showing? What is the analogy comparison being done? It is being done that Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, they have split up the family. They have put nicely lemon juice in the family and they have split up the family in the first place, right? You just see their intention. Then Mamaka Pandava. Mamaka is my kids. There's Mamaka, my kids, and Pandava, Pandava's kids. Like now you can imagine who is cheese and who is the way over here. Rasgulla. Now you can see the third one, Rasgulla. Kim Akurvata. Like, what are they doing? Kim Akurvata, what are they doing? Now, once the cottage cheese is done and the rasgullas are made, if some sweet is given to you, what will you do with it? Eat, right? So they are on the battlefield. He is asking Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. What will they do on the battlefield? What will any soldier do if he goes to a war? He is going to fight, right? So I didn't understand why he asked such a question. Why? Because first, I think Dhritarashtra was very confident. He had 100 kids, right? And how many were Pandavas? Maybe around 5, not maybe 5. So this war will be won by only me. That's what he thought. But at the same time, he was worried also because they are standing on a Dharmakshetre. So maybe it may be a possibility that Duryodhan may change his mind and give back the kingdom to Yudhishthira, saying, okay, you are the elder one, just take it. So he was having all kinds of worries throughout. This was the worry that Dhritarashtra was having. Now, entrance of Duryodhan here. I'm just, we are touching few shlokas here. So, Pashyaitam Panduputrana Macharyam Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tavashishyena Dhimata.
O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
He really, in second and third shloka, what Duryodhan did was very wrong. He went and he insulted his guru. What was the name of his guru? Anybody knows?
Dronacharya.
Dronacharya. Very nice.
Dronacharya Mataji.
Yes, very nice. Hare Krishna. In the spiritual and battlefield, what do? You take blessings of your guru, right? So if you have to go to college, new admission, entrance exam or anything, you take the blessings of your elder one. So what did Arjun do? He aimed an arrow at his guru's feet to take his pranams, right? To seek his blessings and ashirwad. And what did Guru Dronacharya do? He also sent an arrow and it went above Arjuna's head, kind of giving him blessing, This is what a shishya or a disciple should behave. and not like what you see in the picture, what Duryodhana is doing. Look at his face, full of anger, full of fear, full of pride. I mean, this is a little too much, right? The way he is looking at his guru. Drishtadyumna was leading the army of Pandavas, and Drona and Drupada were friends at once upon a time. Then they became enemies. I will tell you the story at the end. And the son, Drupada, then did a yajna and wanted a son who could kill Dronacharya because they became enemies. And then irony was he sent his son to learn from Dronacharya only. Dronacharya could have refused, saying that no, knowing that he is going to kill me, this Drupad's son Drishtadyumna may kill me. He could have said, no, I won't teach you. But he was not like that. He did his duty. Unlike who? Kamsa. As soon as he came to know, oh, my sister's son is going to kill me, he wanted to kill his sister straight away. But Dronacharya was not like that. Initially, Duryodhan thought Pandavas will come, some 10, 15 people, they will all come in number. Our Bhishma, his grandfather is there. Dronacharya is there. They will kill them. War will be over. But as soon as he saw Drishtadyumna and a huge army that side, there was fear in his eyes. He was like, what? Who has come? And on one side, you see Dhritarashtra, who was not only blind in his eyes, he was blind here also in his mind, full of tamas guna, did not want to stop the war. And Duryodhana, he was full of tamas guna, rajo guna, had all kinds of vices, kam vasana, anger, attachment, greed, pride, jealousy, everything was there. And then what happened? Next, the conch just blew because the war is going to start. Saghosho dhatarashtranam hridayani vyadharayat nabhascha prithivim chaiva tumulobhyaya nadayan.
The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious and thus vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
So as soon as they blew, what did they blow? Like Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devadattam Dhananjaya Poundram Dadmau Mahashankam Bhimakarma Vrikodaraha Ananta Vijayam Raja Kunti Putro Yudhishthiraha Nakula Sahadevascha Sugoshamani Pushpaka. All these are conches. Before the war, they all blow their conch shells, right? Full of vigor. Pandavas proceeded and they with full confidence. So what were the names? Panchajanya, Rishikesha, like Krishna was holding Panchajanya. Then we have Devadattam Dhananjaya, this one, Arjuna was holding Devadatta. Yudhishthira was having Ananta, Poundram Dadma Mahashankam, Bhima Karma Vrikodara. So Yudhishthira was holding Ananta Vijaya, Bhima, Poundra, Khadaga, then Arjuna had Devadatta, then we have Nakula having Sughosha, Sahadev having Mani Pushpaka. They were all holding. And the very next shloka, it mentions about many other Maharathis also blowing their conch shells. As soon as they blow, Hridayani Vyadarayat, the whole sound was, oh my God, they were totally shattered. The Kauravas were totally shattered on hearing the sound of the conch shells. It blew their mind away. It was so loud. Their legs shook, trembled. So what were the reasons that we felt that the Pandavas may win? So the reasons, the 9 reasons are stated. On seeing from outside, anyone could say from the demeanor the Pandavas were having that they are going to win for sure. So what were the 9 reasons that are given here? Dharma Kshetre. So that the Kshetra was very dharma, so naturally they were righteous, so they may win. Divya Ratha, the Ratha was given to him by Agni Deva. So the Ratha was also good. Kapit Dhwaja. This is very important. Hanuman himself gave blessings to Arjuna, right? But he was there. Hanuman had served Lord Rama and helped him win the war. If Hanuman is there on his, you can see Kapit Dhwaja on his chariot, right? So what does it signify? The presence of Hanuman. If the emblem of Hanuman is on the flag of Arjuna, it is another sign of victory, right? Because Hanuman also cooperated with Lord Rama in the battle, and he had Lord Rama had emerged victorious. So now both Rama is there, Hanuman is there. to help on the chariot of Arjuna to help him. Lord Krishna is Rama himself, right? So wherever Lord Rama is, his eternal servitor Hanuman will also be there, right? Along with Sita, the goddess of fortune. So Arjuna had no cause to fear any enemies whatsoever, right? So he was assured of his victory here. And then we had a conch shell, Shankhnad, the blowing of the conch shells. It blew Kaurava's mind away. Gandiva, the Dhanush, that was given by Varuna, Lord Varuna had given him, right? It said that the bow was made up of bones of sage, Dadichi. And Tyakta Jivita, this is quite interesting. Here, Tyakta Jivita means Duryodhan said that all the soldiers and Maharathis from his side, they have come to lay down their lives for me. They are going to die for me. Already, the war didn't even start. And Duryodhan is saying that they are going to give away their lives for me. So many heroes, right? They were prepared to, in a way, if Duryodhan is saying they are going to die, it means Pandavas will win, in other words, right? So Mokshada Ekadashi, it was a very, very auspicious day. So that was also on that side. Bhagya Lakshmi, wherever Narayan will be there, Lakshmi will be there, right? So that is very important. If Lakshmi is there, goddess of Lakshmi is there, then victory for Krishna and Arjuna is always sure because Krishna is there. Kauravas were on the verge of loss already, first day. So there are 5 reasons why Arjuna doesn't want to fight. He is totally sad. So why was he like sad? He is sad because he was having compassion. He was very sad. Sorry. He was very compassionate towards. He said, oh my God, so many people will be killed. He had a lot of karuna, right? Then he said, there will be no enjoyment. What will I do when everybody dies? What will I go and do alone in their palace? It's pap, it's sin. What I'm going to do, it's sin. Papam evashraye dasman hatvaitana tatayinaha. So he says, what will I do? Family tradition. Who will give samskaras to all the kids? If all the fathers in the battlefield are going to die, who will protect the women? Who will protect the elders in the family? What will happen? Children will become orphan. The women will be unprotected. If the elders of the family are also not there, then who is going to guide the younger generation? And in the absence of proper guidance, what will happen? The dynasty will be destroyed. And if there is a destruction of the dynasty, there will be total chaos in the society and big disaster, right? So in those times when women were young, fathers would protect. Once they were married, the husband would protect. And once husband was not there, the son would protect, right? Or the brother would protect. So if all these men are in the battlefield and all of these men are going to lay down their lives, what will happen? Kulanashanam, right? So he says here, 39th shloka, you can see, Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharmi nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo bhibhavatyuta. Everything, dynasty is destroyed, tradition is destroyed, everything is vanquished. The rest of the family will become irreligion, right? If destruction of the dynasty is there, family tradition is going to stop. Irreligion will increase. Children are going to be spoiled. There will be no worship. And in the end, there was a lot of indecision. This goes in chapter 2, actually, chapter 2.6. So that's the kind of confusion, indecision to fight, not to fight. Arjuna was thinking, why should I be part of this unnecessary violence? If Duryodhana is becoming so stubborn to become the king, let him be the king. I can live by begging also Krishna. But he knew Duryodhana was very cruel. He committed so many sins, right? So he was commenting on this. Srila Prabhupada said that looking at all these considerations by Arjuna, he felt that he was such a great devotee of the Lord. He was not only enlightened, he had control, complete control over his mind and over his senses. That's what Srila Prabhupada wrote in his purport. And then here, which one can you relate to? He says, Krishna, maintainer of people, he says in 1.43, 44, 45, 46, last 4, He says, I have heard disciplic successions. I know how the family traditions will be destroyed. In 1.44, he says, I'm going to commit such sinful acts. I just don't want to enjoy after killing so many of my own people. In 1.45, he says, I better, if sons of Dhritarashtra, better for me if they, weapons in hand, they come and they kill me only. I will be unarmed and I won't resist also on the battlefield. And in 1.46, the last one, Sanjay says, Arjuna, after saying all this, he puts his bow and arrow down and he puts his hand like this, and he is totally overwhelmed with grief. So, but Arjuna's 5 reasons not to fight the Mahabharat war, it did not convince Krishna. Krishna is above all that. Krishna ultimately persuaded Arjuna not to run away from the battle of Kurukshetra. The Supreme Lord Krishna, he made sure that his friend and devotee, he fights for the right cause, and so that they can establish dharma. And he will start his discourse in chapter 2, right? He will tell what happens, why you should fight. He is going to start in chapter 2. So let's see the chapter summary here. Dhritarashtra's inquiry, 1.1. Duryodhana's fear from 1.2 to 1.11. Blowing of conches, 1.12 to 1.19. Arjuna's observation, 1.20 to 27. What Arjuna has seen in the battlefield. And then Arjuna's reasons not to fight. Krishna, I don't want to fight, right? Yadi mama pratikaram shastram shastra panayah dharta rashtrarane hanyu tanme kshemataram bhave. Better for me if the sons of the Dhritarashtra come and they kill me also. I won't resist also. But actually, according to the custom, what Kshatriya should fight, right? They should fight, if he is unarmed and unwilling enemy, then he is not supposed to be attacked, right? But however, Arjuna decided, he said he is ready, even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position also, he said he is not going to fight. He was like, he was very, all these symptoms show that he was very soft-hearted, right? Because he was a great devotee of the Lord, right? He was full of compassion. And while observing the situation of the enemy, he stood up on the chariot. He was so sad. He was so afflicted, and he was he sat down and said, "What? How can I fight with my own cousins, my grandfather, my guru, and such a kind and soft-hearted person in devotional service of the Lord, right? And he is the one who is fit to receive the self-knowledge. The knowledge can be received as such a people, right? Such a person. So let's see what we have learned. What is Bhagavad-Gita? It is? Anyone?
Bhagavan song.
Yes, it is
Bhagwan
a song of the God, and it is our life book or
Life manual.
Very nice. Yes, yes. So what are the 5 topics in Bhagavad-Gita that is going to be covered throughout?
Time, karma.
Yes, time.
Life entities.
Very nice. Ishvara, Jiva, material nature, time, and karma. What are the 5 reasons for Arjuna's lamentation? Why was he so sad? What are the 5 reasons?
He don't want to kill his own family members.
Decisions.
He was thinking that if the elder member of the family are destroyed,
Yes. Nice.
who will guide our descendants?
Yes, compassion, no enjoyment, bliss, sin. Family tradition will be lost. He is confused totally. And what are the 9 reasons that Arjuna may win the war?
Ma'am,
Dharamkshetra,
Kurukshetra, very good.
Bhagyalakshmi,
Kapisdhvaja,
Kapitvaji,
Divine
Shudha
Chariot.
Ekadashi.
Yes, Ekadashi, very nice. Bhagyalakshmi, yes. Rishikesh, main. Krishna is there, so why fear when Krishna is there, right? Okay.
But
So
Rishikesh means Krishna.
being the Rishikesh means master of senses, Krishna. Yes, another name.
Master of sense. Okay.
Krishna, being the supreme personality of Godhead, is going to answer Arjuna's query in the 2nd chapter. वाञ्छा कल्पतरूपश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. You can stop the video maybe.